Hello, dear learners. I'm Dr. Kaveri Swami, Head Department of Social Sciences Languages, Christu Jayanti Team to be University. Today, I'm going to explain you something about the public expenditure, and we'll be understanding the meaning, classification, principles, and effect of the public expenditure. So, we start our session with an introduction about the public expenditure. We say that this is an expenditure which has been incurred by the government, for example, central government, state governments, lower level governments like district office or gram panchayat, etc. The range of activities which are being performed by the government spans areas like national defense, police and internal security, development of education and health sector, policies to remove the poverty, etc. Such expenditures are made for the social welfare of the people to run the government administration. The importance attached to the public expenditure has varied between the different schools of thought. During the laissez-faire policies of the 19th century, the role of government was minimum. Over time, with the evolution of theories of public expenditure, the importance of public expenditure has come into the limelight as an important tool of the fiscal policy. Let's see what are the factors which influence the public expenditure. So we begin with the growth of population. Growing population is one of the main reasons behind the growing public expenditure because a country with a large population will have to create more schools, hospitals, transport facilities, roads, and other amenities to meet the needs of its large population as compared to the countries with smaller population. The other one that we have is about the growth of democracy. Countries with a democratic form of government will always have a higher level of public expenditure. It requires regular and continuous maintenance of the political institutions. For instances, periodic conduct of election would be required at all levels of government. We have other one as a welfare state. This changed the concept of the police state to the welfare state, under which the large emphasis is being placed on the welfare related measures required to uplift the social welfare of the marginalized section of the people. For instance, creation of employment opportunities, social security measures, creation of welfare-related infrastructures, etc., would all require greater role by the government. Let's see the other one that we have is a defense expenditure. In modern society, every country wants to protect its borders. The possibility of war requires the nations to equip themselves with arms. This process in turn requires a large scale of public expenditure to equip the defense sector. The other one we have is an expansion of public sector and administrative setup. Creation of large scale administrative setup requires a large scale public expenditure. This is more likely for the countries with a large geographic area with a decentralized government system. For example, we can see in China, in Canada, Australia, China. Other one we have is a poverty elevation programs. The countries which have a chronic poverty have to incur a large expenditure in the form of poverty elevation programs. This is especially for the countries like India and the other developing countries which rely heavily on public programs to improve the well-being of the poorest so as to bring them to join and benefit from the mainstream's development process of the country. The other one we have is about income redistribution. So policies targeted for income redistribution collects taxes from richer states and spend them in a poorer states, leading to the transfer of funds. For instances, government collects taxes from richer areas with, with proceed from certain taxes are marked to spend for the development of the poorest region. This is needed because such regions cannot raise enough funds from their own jurisdiction due to the lower level of the development. Now let's see the classification of public expenditure. So basically the public expenditure is being classified into four. One, we call it as the revenue expenditure. The second we have is the capital expenditure. Third, we have development expenditure. And the fourth we have is a non-development expenditure. So let's try to understand what exactly is revenue expenditure. So we say that revenue expenditure is committed expenditure and less productive. Expenditure categorizes such as pensions, salaries, subsidies, interest payments, etc., come under the revenue expenditure. These do not lead to the creation of productive assets, but have to be incurred in recurring manner year after year. Now let's look into what is capital expenditure. So this capital expenditure leads to the creation of assets. These are the expenditures incurred on creation of real capital assets or financial assets. Example, expenditure on purchase of land, buildings or machineries, expenditure on building schools and hospitals, government investment in shares or expenditure which reduces liabilities such as repayment of loans. Capital expenditure is thus generally long-term expenditure. The capital expenditure is always outweighed by the revenue expenditure. Now let's look into the planned expenditure. So planned expenditure refers to the part of expenditure which is incurred on planned schemes or projects designed under the 5-year plans. It includes the current development outlays and investment outlays on two main accounts. First, it comprises of the central plans on agriculture, irrigation projects, rural development, transport, communication, etc. And the second, it includes the central assistance like grants provided by the central government to the states and the union territories for their development plans. Now let's look into the non-planned expenditure. So non-planned expenditure refers to that part of expenditure which is incurred outside the 5-year plan schemes. These are the expenditure on items which are more or less committed. So I hope the things are very clear. Thank you so much.